Welcome to Wisdom Tales Animation. To all my wonderful subscribers, thank you for sticking with me during my time away. Your patience and continued support mean more than words can express. I'm back and excited to bring you powerful, meaningful stories once again. Get ready for new uploads filled with life lessons, Jamaican roots, and unforgettable characters. Today, we bring you a story of a thief, a trap, and the wisdom of a judge. It's a tale of cunning, consequence, and the fine line between deception and truth. Sometimes the smartest ones in the room are not the loudest, and sometimes justice has a quiet, clever way of revealing itself. The Bag of Flour, the Tale of Wani. They used to call him George, a wiry, curious child with eyes too sharp for his own good and hands that couldn't seem to keep still. He was raised by his grandmother, Miss Zelma, a stoic woman with grey plaits and a voice seasoned with scripture. After George's parents died in a taxi crash along the Junction Road, Miss Zelma did her best to raise the boy in the sleepy community of Bent Ground, nestled in the hilly bushland of St. Thomas. But George was never content. Miss Zelma gave what she could: boiled dumpling, callaloo, her old Bible stories, and plenty of love. But George always wanted more. New shoes like the pastor's son, a shiny watch like Uncle Kenton's, a bag of cheese curls every time the van passed. When the things Miss Zelma offered didn't add up to what George believed he deserved, he started looking elsewhere. That's how it started. Just little things at first. Guava from the neighbor's tree, a soda from the shop step when no one was looking. But by 16, George had a reputation. Quick feet, quick hands, and a quicker temper. The last straw came one humid Thursday night. George and two of his friends, David and Lennox, decided to break into the shop again. Not just any shop, but the old wooden one belonging to Mass Silas. Mass Silas had been the target of countless petty thefts: canned goods, biscuits, bag juice. He'd patched that shop more times than he could count. But this time, Mass Silas had had enough. He laid in wait, silent and breathing through clenched teeth, machete in hand. George, the leader, yanked out a loose board under the shop window. His friends urged caution, but George waved them off. "I know the layout. I used to buy from here when I was younger," he whispered. Then, with careless confidence, he shoved his right hand through the window to unlatch the lock from inside. That's when it happened. A flash of steel. A scream so raw and loud it cracked the night. George stumbled back, blood gushing like a spring. His arm had been severed clean from the elbow. David and Lennox ran. George tried to follow, but the pain dropped him to the dirt. He eventually staggered away under the cover of darkness, his arm lost, pride shattered. The next day, no one knew whose arm it was that had been left in Mass Silas's shop. It became village gossip, but without a name. George disappeared before anyone could connect the dots. He re-emerged months later in a dusty little community near Crossroads, Kingston. There he was a stranger. No one knew him as George. Over time, locals began calling him Wani, a nickname that stuck because of his missing arm. He kept to himself mostly, hanging around the back of Mr. Wong's supermarket. Mr. Wong, a quiet Chinese-Jamaican shopkeeper, didn't mind Wani sitting near the back door. Sometimes customers gave Wani coins or food. For a while, he behaved, but old habits die hard. Wani began slipping inside when no one was looking. First, it was a bottle of oil, then tins of mackerel, then a whole bag of flour. But one Tuesday morning his luck ran out. Mr. Wong, having grown suspicious from the growing number of missing items, decided to set a trap. He left a 25-pound bag of flour near the back door, partially torn and close enough for temptation. Then he waited, and Wani took the bait. As he tried dragging the bag into the alley, Mr. Wong and two young workers caught him. "I didn't steal it," Wani shouted. "It was outside on the ground. I was just trying to move it." With one hand, Mr. Wong asked, narrowing his eyes. Call the police. He was arrested, charged, and taken before the Kingston Resident Magistrates Court. The case was assigned to Judge Angela Smith. Judge Smith was known for her calm demeanour and sharp eye. She'd grown up in a poor district herself and knew every trick in the book. On the morning of the hearing, the courtroom buzzed. People had heard of Wani's story. Some sympathised, others were sceptical. Wani stood before her, his tattered clothes hanging from his thin frame, a white bandage wrapped where his right arm used to be. Judge Smith adjusted her glasses. Mr. Wani, you are accused of stealing a 25-pound bag of flour from Mr. Wong's premises. How do you plead? I'm innocent, Your Honour. The flour was outside. I only have one hand. How could I carry something that heavy by myself? The courtroom murmured. Judge Smith raised a brow. So, you're saying you were simply inspecting it? Yes, Judge. I didn't steal it. I couldn't even carry it if I wanted to. She paused. Mr. Wong, was the flour torn? Yes, Your Honour, Mr. Wong replied. It had clearly been moved. We saw him trying to take it away. Judge Smith leaned back. Mr. Wani, you say you couldn't possibly steal the flour due to your physical limitation. Yes, ma'am. How could I carry a big bag like that? She nodded slowly. Then this court finds you not guilty of theft. Based on your testimony and physical condition, it appears you were incapable of carrying the flour unaided. Gasps rippled across the room. Wani smiled. Furthermore, Judge Smith continued, as compensation for the emotional distress of being wrongly accused, I order that the bag of flour be released to Mr. Wani. Applause broke out among a few onlookers. Wani bowed his head slightly, pretending to be humbled. Then, with swift, practiced ease, he walked to where the bag sat. Before anyone could intervene, he bent down, and with the grace of a man who'd done it 100 times, scooped the 25-pound flour bag using the nook of his severed right arm and his left hand, balancing it smoothly onto his shoulder. The courtroom froze. Judge Smith's eyes narrowed. Court officer, she commanded, detain the accused. He has just demonstrated the ability he claimed not to have. The officer tackled Wani before he could reach the door. The flour burst open in a puff of white across the courtroom floor. Wani screamed. I was only joking. I didn't mean it. I couldn't carry it for real. Judge Smith stood. Enough. You have made a mockery of this court. You lied under oath. You deceived this court and wasted its time. She slammed her gavel. 3 years imprisonment. The courtroom erupted, some in laughter, some in shock. Miss Zelma, now old and barely able to walk, had quietly come that day and sat in the back. She wiped a tear from her cheek and whispered, Lord, help him see. Moral of the story. A clever lie may fool the world, but not the wise. Deception only carries weight until truth tips the scale. Wani thought his trick could outsmart justice, but Judge Angela Smith's wisdom proved greater than all his schemes. And so, the man once known as George, who had all the chances to choose better, learned behind bars that no matter how good you are at playing the fool, justice knows when it's being played. Wisdom doesn't always speak loudly, but it always sees clearly. Judge Angela Smith didn't rush to judgment. She allowed Wani to speak, listened carefully, and used calm reasoning to expose the lie. Her silence and patience were more powerful than any outburst. When you give someone the rope, the foolish will hang themselves. By granting Wani what he claimed he couldn't carry, the judge gave him the chance to prove, or betray, his own story. He walked right into his own trap. True wisdom allows the guilty to reveal themselves. Wani thought he had outsmarted the system, but wisdom has a way of letting the deceiver trip over their own deception. The judge didn't need cameras or evidence. She used discernment. Justice guided by wisdom is never easily fooled. While pity might have clouded others' judgment, the judge saw beyond appearances. She knew that truth can't hide forever, especially when tested. The clever may fool the kind, but never the wise. Wani underestimated the mind of a seasoned judge, thinking his limitations would shield him, but wisdom knew to watch the end of the act, not just the story told. Thank you for watching Wisdom Tales Animation. Stay tuned for more amazing stories.